In the heart of the Galician Empire, a grand arena stood as a symbol of power and dominance. It was here that the most feared warrior in the galaxy, warlord Kareth the Unbroken, showcased his unmatched skills. Kareth was a towering figure, his body sculpted from years of battle and training. He had fought in 417 battles, and he had never lost. His reputation as a merciless champion spread far and wide, instilling fear in the hearts of all who heard his name. The Empire viewed humans as primitive beings, barely worthy of existence. They were seen as laborers, used for menial tasks and considered inferior to the advanced species of the galaxy. However, the Empire had recently allowed a small number of humans to enter the arena as a form of entertainment. It was a cruel joke, a way to demonstrate the Empire's superiority. On this particular day, the arena was filled with spectators, eager to witness another display of Kareth's might. The crowd roared with excitement as the announcer introduced the next match. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the ultimate showdown. Warlord Kareth the Unbroken will face a human prisoner. The audience erupted in laughter, knowing that the outcome was already decided. Miguel Alvarez, a human diplomat captured during a failed negotiation, was pushed into the arena. He was unarmed and outmatched, but he held his head high. As he stepped into the sunlight, he could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze upon him. They expected him to cower in fear, but instead he smiled. Kareth entered the arena, his presence commanding and intimidating. The warlord raised his plasma blade, ready to strike down the human before him. But as he approached, Miguel did something unexpected. Instead of begging for mercy, he began to speak. "Hey there, big guy. Nice sword you've got there. You must be compensating for something." The crowd fell silent, stunned by the human's audacity. Kareth paused, his brow furrowing in confusion. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. He had faced countless opponents, but none had dared to joke in the face of death. Miguel continued, his voice steady. "You know, I've heard that laughter is the best medicine. Want to give it a try?" He grinned, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Kareth hesitated, his instincts battling with the unexpected reaction. The warlord had been trained to be ruthless, to show no mercy. Yet here was this human, standing before him with a smile, challenging everything he believed. The crowd began to murmur, unsure of how to react. Some laughed nervously, while others shouted for Kareth to finish the fight. But Kareth found himself intrigued. He lowered his weapon slightly, his curiosity piqued. "Why are you not afraid?" Kareth asked, his voice deep and rumbling. Miguel shrugged, still smiling. "Fear is just a state of mind. Besides, I've faced worse things than a big guy with a sword. Like my mother-in-law." The crowd erupted in laughter, and for the first time, Kareth felt a strange sensation in his chest. It was not anger or hatred, but something softer, curiosity. As the warlord stood there, caught off guard by the human's humor, he realized that this was not just another fight. This was a moment that could change everything. The announcer, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, shouted for Kareth to finish the match. But Kareth hesitated, his mind racing. He had always been the conqueror, the one who brought fear to others. But now, this human was making him question his own identity. In that instant, the arena transformed from a place of violence to a stage for something new. Kareth the Unbroken, the Empire's most feared warrior, stood before a human who dared to laugh in the face of death. And in that laughter, Kareth felt the first stirrings of change. The crowd watched in anticipation, unsure of what would happen next. Would Kareth strike down the human, or would he do something no one expected? The tension in the arena was palpable, and the fate of both the warlord and the human hung in the balance. The arena was filled with a tense silence as Kareth the Unbroken stood before Miguel Alvarez, the human diplomat who had dared to joke in the face of death. The crowd, once roaring with excitement, now watched with bated breath, unsure of what would happen next. Karatha's plasma blade hovered inches from Miguel's throat, but the warlord found himself hesitating. "Why are you not afraid?" Karath asked again, his voice deep and curious. He had faced many opponents, but none had ever spoken to him like this. Miguel smiled, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Fear is just a choice, my friend. Besides, I've always believed that laughter is the best way to face danger. Want to hear another joke?" Karath lowered his weapon slightly, intrigued. "You think this is a joke?" "Absolutely," Miguel replied, his confidence unwavering. "You see, I'm just a simple human. I don't have fancy weapons or super strength. But I do have a great sense of humor. And right now, I think you need it more than I do." The crowd began to murmur, a mix of confusion and amusement. Karatha's brow furrowed as he processed Miguel's words. No one had ever dared to challenge him like this. He had always been the one in control, the one who instilled fear. But here was a human standing before him, making him question everything he thought he knew. "Tell me your joke," Karath said, his voice softer than before. Miguel grinned widely. "Okay, here goes. Why did the scarecrow win an award?" Karath raised an eyebrow, unsure of where this was going. "I do not know." "Why?" "Because he was outstanding in his field." Miguel burst out laughing, and to his surprise, Karath found himself chuckling as well. It was a strange sound, one he had not made in years. The crowd, sensing the shift, began to laugh too, their tension easing as they joined in the unexpected moment of joy. Karath felt a warmth spread through him, a feeling he had long forgotten. It was as if Miguel's laughter had broken through the walls he had built around himself. For the first time, he saw the human not as a weak opponent but as a fellow being capable of bringing light into darkness. "Do you have more?" Karath asked, genuinely curious. "Of course," Miguel replied, his confidence growing. "What do you call fake spaghetti?" Karath shook his head, intrigued. "I do not know." "An impasta," Miguel exclaimed, and the laughter erupted again, filling the arena with a sense of camaraderie that had never existed before. As the laughter continued, Karath felt a strange connection forming between them. He had always been a warrior, trained to fight and conquer, but now he was experiencing something entirely different. The joy of laughter was foreign to him, yet it felt liberating. The announcer, realizing the unexpected turn of events, tried to regain control of the situation. "Warlord Karath, finish the match," he shouted, but Karath did not move. Instead, he looked at Miguel, who was still smiling, his eyes shining with hope. "You are different from the others," Karath said, his voice low. "You do not fear me." "Why should I?" Miguel replied, his tone light. "You're just a big guy with a sword. Besides, I think you're more than just a warrior. You have a heart, don't you?" Karath felt a pang of confusion. No one had ever spoken to him like this. He had been trained to suppress his emotions, to be a perfect soldier. But Miguel's words were breaking through the conditioning. "Perhaps," Karath admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The crowd watched in awe as the warlord and the human shared a moment of understanding. It was a turning point, one that would change the course of their lives forever. As the laughter faded, Karath finally lowered his plasma blade completely. "I will not kill you today," he declared, surprising everyone in the arena. "Instead, I want to learn more about you and your kind." Miguel's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really? You mean it?" "Yes," Karath replied, a hint of a smile forming on his lips. "You have shown me something I have never seen before. Perhaps there is more to life than just fighting." The crowd erupted in cheers, their excitement palpable. They had witnessed a moment of transformation, a moment where fear had been replaced by understanding. As Karath stepped back, he realized that this encounter had changed him forever. He was no longer just the Empire's most feared warrior. He was beginning to see the world through new eyes. And it all started with a simple human kiss of laughter. In the days that followed the unexpected encounter in the arena, Warlord Kareth the Unbroken found himself unable to shake the memory of Miguel Alvarez. The human diplomat had not only survived but had also managed to make him laugh, something no one had ever done before. Kareth was intrigued, and a part of him wanted to understand more about this strange creature called a human. Kareth decided to visit Miguel in his cell, a place where he had been kept since his capture. As he approached, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had always been a warrior, a figure of strength and power, but now he was stepping into a world he had never known, one filled with curiosity and emotion. When Kareth entered the dimly lit cell, Miguel looked up, surprised to see the warlord standing before him. "You again," Miguel said, a grin spreading across his face. "I didn't think I'd see you so soon. Did you come for more jokes?" Kareth hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "I came to talk," he said, his voice deep and serious. "I want to understand you and your kind." Miguel's eyes sparkled with interest. "Really? You want to learn about humans? That's a first. Most people just want to fight us." Kareth nodded, feeling a strange sense of vulnerability. "I have fought many battles, but I know little about the beings I conquer. You have shown me that there is more to life than just fighting." Miguel leaned forward, eager to share. "Well, let's start with the basics. Humans are social creatures. We thrive on connection, friendship, and love. We laugh, we cry, and we tell stories. It's how we understand the world." Kareth listened intently, his mind racing. He had always been taught that emotions were a weakness, but Miguel's words were opening a door to a new way of thinking. "Tell me more," he urged. "Okay. Let's talk about humor," Miguel said, his enthusiasm infectious. "Humor is a way for us to cope with difficult situations. It helps us bond with others and see the lighter side of life. For example, have you ever heard the one about the two antennas?" Kareth shook his head, intrigued. "No, I have not. They met on a roof and fell in love. The wedding wasn't much, but the reception was excellent." Miguel burst into laughter, and Kareth found himself chuckling along, feeling a warmth spread through him. As they continued to talk, Miguel shared stories about Earth, its cultures, and its people. He spoke of music, art, and the beauty of nature. Kareth was fascinated by the idea that humans could express themselves in so many ways. "Do you have music?" Kareth asked, his curiosity piqued. "Of course. Music is a huge part of our lives. Can make us feel happy, sad, or even inspired. Would you like to hear some?" Miguel offered. Kareth nodded eagerly. "Yes, I would like that." Miguel began to hum a simple tune, tapping his foot to the rhythm. Kareth listened, captivated by the melody. It was unlike anything he had ever heard, filled with emotion and life. As Miguel sang, Kareth felt a sense of peace wash over him. The music was a reminder that there was more to existence than just power and dominance. It was a glimpse into a world where connection and understanding reigned supreme. "Your music is beautiful," Kareth said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I never knew that such things existed." Miguel smiled, his eyes shining with joy. "There's so much more to discover. Humans have a rich history filled with stories, art, and creativity. We express ourselves in ways that can inspire and unite us." Kareth felt a stirring in his heart. He had spent his life as a weapon, a tool of the Empire, but now he was beginning to see the value of compassion and creativity. "I want to learn more," he declared. "I want to understand your culture and share it with my people." Miguel's face lit up with excitement. "That's the spirit. Together we can bridge the gap between our worlds. Imagine what we could achieve if we combined our strengths." As they continued to talk, Kareth realized that this was not just a friendship, it was the beginning of a revolution. The warlord and the human diplomat were forging a bond that could change the fate of the galaxy. In that moment, Kareth understood that he was no longer just a warrior. He was becoming a bridge between two worlds, and together with Miguel, they would challenge the very foundations of the Empire. As the days turned into weeks, Kareth and Miguel's friendship deepened. The warlord found himself drawn to the human spirit and resilience. Miguel's laughter and stories filled Caratha's once lonely heart with warmth. The more they talked, the more Carath began to question the beliefs he had held for so long. One evening, as they sat in Miguel's cell, Carath shared his thoughts. "I have always been taught that emotions are a weakness. But you have shown me that they can be a source of strength." Miguel nodded, his expression serious. "Emotions are what make us human, Carath. They connect us to each other and to the world around us. Without them, we would be lost." Carath pondered this. He had spent his life as a weapon, trained to fight and conquer. But now, he was beginning to see the value in understanding and compassion. "I want to share what I have learned with my people," he said, determination in his voice. Miguel's eyes widened with excitement. "That's a great idea. But it won't be easy. The Empire is built on fear and control. They won't accept change without a fight." Carath clenched his fists, feeling a surge of anger. "I have fought for the Empire my entire life. But now I see the truth. I cannot stand by and watch as they oppress others." Just then the door to the cell opened, and a group of Imperial guards entered. Caratha's heart raced as he recognized the leader, Commander Vrax, a ruthless officer known for his strict enforcement of Imperial law. "What is going on here?" Vrax demanded, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight of Carath and Miguel together. "Warlord Carath, you are not supposed to associate with this human." Carath stood tall, his voice steady. "I am learning from him, Commander. He has shown me that there is more to life than just fighting." Vrax scoffed, crossing his arms. "You are a warrior, Carath. You should not waste your time with this weakling. He is nothing but a prisoner." Miguel stepped forward, his expression defiant. "I may be a prisoner, but I am not weak. I have faced challenges that would break most beings. And I have shown Carath that there is strength in laughter and understanding." Vrax's eyes flashed with anger. "You dare speak to me like that? You are nothing in this empire." Carath felt a surge of protectiveness for Miguel. "He is more than you realize, Commander. He has opened my eyes to a new way of thinking. I will not allow you to harm him." Vrax's expression darkened. "You are defying the Empire, Carath. This is treason." Caratha's heart raced as he realized the gravity of the situation. He had always been loyal to the Empire, but now he was faced with a choice. Would he continue to follow orders blindly, or would he stand up for what he believed in? "I will not be a tool of oppression any longer," Carath declared, his voice strong. "I choose to fight for freedom and understanding." Vrax's eyes widened in shock. "You are making a grave mistake, Warlord. You will regret this." Carath turned to Miguel, who looked at him with admiration. "Together we can change things," Miguel said, his voice filled with hope. "We can inspire others to see the truth." As Vrax stormed out of the cell, Carath felt a sense of liberation wash over him. He had taken a stand, and there was no turning back. In the days that followed, Carath and Miguel began to spread their message among the other prisoners. They shared stories of hope, laughter, and the power of unity. Slowly, they began to inspire others to question the Empire's oppressive ways. Word of Caratha's rebellion began to spread, reaching the ears of Imperial soldiers who had grown disillusioned with their own roles. They started to gather in secret, drawn by the idea of a new way of life, one where they could be more than just soldiers. Carath felt a sense of purpose as he led this movement. He was no longer just a warrior. He was a leader, fighting for a cause greater than himself. With Miguel by his side, they were determined to challenge the Empire and create a future where all beings could live freely. As they prepared for the battles ahead, Carath knew that the road would be difficult. But with each passing day, he felt more confident in their mission. Together they would rise against the Empire, armed with laughter, hope, and the strength of their newfound friendship. The atmosphere in the Imperial stronghold was tense. Warlord Carath and Miguel had ignited a spark of rebellion among the prisoners and even some of the soldiers. Whispers of change spread like wildfire, and the Empire was beginning to feel the tremors of unrest. Kareth knew that they had to act quickly before the Empire could crush their movement. One evening, as Kareth and Miguel gathered a group of supporters in a hidden chamber, Kareth stood before them, his heart pounding with determination. "We have the power to change our fate," he declared, his voice strong. "Together we can stand against the Empire and fight for freedom." The room erupted in cheers, the energy palpable. Miguel stepped forward, his eyes shining with excitement. "We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for everyone who has been oppressed. We will show them that laughter, love, and unity are stronger than fear." As they discussed their plans, Kareth felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. He was no longer just a warrior. He was a leader, guiding others toward a brighter future. They decided to organize a large gathering in the arena, where they would share their message with the people of the Empire. The day of the gathering arrived, and the arena was filled with spectators, both curious and skeptical. Kareth stood at the center, flanked by Miguel and their supporters. The crowd murmured, unsure of what to expect. "People of the Empire," Kareth called out, his voice echoing through the arena. "I stand before you not as a warlord, but as a fellow being who has learned the value of compassion and understanding. We have been taught to fear, but I have discovered that there is strength in unity." The crowd fell silent, captivated by Kareth's words. Miguel stepped forward, his voice filled with passion. "We are here to share a new vision, a vision where laughter and love can replace fear and oppression. Together, we can build a future where all beings are free." As they spoke, Kareth noticed a shift in the crowd. Some began to nod, their expressions softening. Others whispered to one another, intrigued by the idea of change. Kareth felt a surge of hope. Perhaps they could truly inspire a revolution. But just as the atmosphere began to shift, Commander Vrax appeared at the entrance of the arena, flanked by a group of Imperial guards. His face was twisted with anger. "What is the meaning of this?" he shouted, his voice booming. "You dare to defy the Empire." Kareth stood tall, refusing to back down. "We are not defying the Empire. We are standing up for what is right. We want a future where all beings can live in peace." Vrax sneered, his eyes narrowing. "You are a traitor, Kareth. You will pay for this insubordination." The crowd gasped, fear rippling through them. But Kareth raised his hand, silencing the murmurs. "If you wish to fight, then let it be so. But know this: we fight not with weapons, but with the strength of our hearts and the power of our unity." With that, Kareth turned to the crowd, his voice rising. "Who stands with me? Who believes in a future where we can all be free?" One by one, hands began to rise. The supporters who had gathered around Kareth stepped forward, standing beside him. Miguel's voice rang out, filled with conviction. "We are not afraid. Together, we will show the Empire that love and laughter can conquer all." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing through the arena. Kareth felt a rush of adrenaline as he realized that they were no longer just a group of prisoners. They were a movement, united in their desire for change. Vrax's face turned red with fury as he watched the scene unfold. "You will regret this," he shouted, but Kareth stood firm, his heart swelling with pride. As the cheers continued, Kareth knew that they had crossed a line. There was no turning back now. They were ready to fight for their freedom, and they would not be silenced. In that moment, Kareth felt a deep connection to Miguel. The human had opened his eyes to a world of possibilities, and together, they were ready to challenge the Empire. As the crowd roared with excitement, Kareth realized that love and laughter had become their greatest weapons. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their quest for a brighter future. The atmosphere in the arena was electric as Kareth and Miguel stood united before the crowd. Their message of hope and unity had sparked a fire in the hearts of many, and the Empire was beginning to feel the effects of their rebellion. But Commander Vrax was not one to back down easily. He was determined to crush this uprising before it could grow any stronger. As the cheers of the crowd echoed in the arena, Vrax turned to his guards, his face twisted with anger. "We cannot allow this to continue. They are spreading dangerous ideas that threaten the Empire's control. We must act now." The guards nodded, ready to follow their commander's orders. Vrax raised his hand, signaling them to prepare for action. "We will show them the consequences of defiance. We will remind them who holds the power." Meanwhile, Kareth and Miguel were unaware of the danger approaching. They were too busy celebrating the support they had received from the crowd. Kareth felt a sense of pride swell within him. "Look at them, Miguel. They believe in our cause." Miguel smiled, his eyes shining with excitement. "Yes, this is just the beginning. We can change everything." But just as they were about to continue their speech, the sound of heavy boots echoed through the arena. Vrax and his guards marched in, their expressions cold and determined. The crowd fell silent, sensing the tension in the air. "Enough of this nonsense," Vrax shouted, his voice booming. "You think you can challenge the Empire? You are nothing but fools." Kareth stepped forward, his heart racing. "We are not fools, Commander. We are fighting for our freedom and the right to live without fear." Vrax sneered, his eyes narrowing. "You will regret this, Kareth. I will show you the true power of the Empire." With a swift motion, Vrax signaled his guards to move in. But before they could act, Kareth raised his hand, a calm determination in his voice. "We do not need to fight with weapons. We can show you the strength of our unity." Miguel stepped beside Kareth, his voice steady. "We believe in a future where laughter and love can conquer fear. Join us, and you will see the truth." Vrax hesitated, his expression shifting slightly. For a moment he seemed unsure. But then he shook his head, anger returning. "You think your words can change anything? You are weak." As the guards advanced, Kareth felt a surge of energy from the crowd. They were ready to stand with him. "We are not weak. We are strong together," he shouted, and the crowd erupted in cheers once more. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The energy in the arena shifted, and a wave of empathy washed over the Imperial guards. They began to hesitate, their expressions softening as they listened to the voices of the crowd. Kareth noticed the change and seized the moment. "Look around you. We are all beings with hopes and dreams. We all want to be free." The guards exchanged glances, confusion evident on their faces. They had been trained to follow orders without question, but now they were faced with a choice. Miguel stepped forward, his voice filled with compassion. "You do not have to be enemies. You can choose to stand with us and fight for a better future." One of the guards, a young soldier named Yarek, took a step forward. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to be free too." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Kareth felt a surge of hope. "Yes, join us. Together we can create a new empire, one built on understanding and compassion." As more guards began to lower their weapons, Vrax's face turned red with fury. "You traitors! You will pay for this," he shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the cheers of the crowd. Kareth and Miguel stood tall, their hearts racing with excitement. They had not only inspired the prisoners but had also begun to sway the very soldiers who had once been their enemies. In that moment, Kareth realized that they were not just fighting against the Empire. They were fighting for a new way of life. A life where empathy and understanding could replace fear and oppression. As the arena filled with the sounds of unity, Kareth knew that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. Together, they would rise against the Empire, armed with the power of their shared humanity. The arena had transformed into a sea of celebration as former enemies embraced one another. Imperial guards laid down their weapons, joining the prisoners in chanting for freedom. Commander Vrax stood isolated, his face twisted in fury as his authority crumbled before his eyes. Kareth turned to Miguel, his golden eyes shimmering with emotion. "You were right all along," he said, his deep voice trembling slightly. This is what true strength looks like. Miguel grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. Told you laughter was contagious. Now let's finish what we started. Together, they climbed onto the central platform where executions were normally held. The crowd fell silent as Kareth removed his battle helmet for the first time in public, revealing the face of the Empire's most feared warrior, now softened with hope. My people, Kareth's voice carried across the arena. Today we choose a new path. No more fear. No more oppression. We will build a galaxy where all beings can live in peace. The cheers were deafening. Even some of Vrax's remaining loyalists began removing their armor, joining the movement. Only Vrax remained unmoved, his hand hovering over his weapon. You'll regret this betrayal, Vrax spat. The Emperor will dash. Actually, Miguel interrupted cheerfully, we've just received word that the Imperial fleet has surrendered. Seems they've been listening to our broadcasts too. He winked at Kareth. Turns out everyone loves a good comedy show. Kareth chuckled, the sound strange yet wonderful coming from the former warlord. Then, in front of the entire assembly, he did something that would be remembered for generations. He pulled Miguel into a passionate embrace, their lips meeting as the crowd erupted in joyous shock. When they parted, Kareth addressed the stunned spectators. Let this be our new symbol. No more weapons, no more hatred. Only. He hesitated, searching for the human word Miguel had taught him. Only love. The scene that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed. Former enemies hugged, warriors and prisoners danced together, and the air filled with spontaneous music as someone produced an instrument. Even the arena's harsh lighting seemed warmer, as if reflecting the change in atmosphere. As the celebrations continued, Kareth and Miguel slipped away to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in hues of gold and violet. You realize, Miguel said softly, this is just the beginning. There's so much work ahead. Kareth wrapped an arm around Miguel's shoulders. We will face it together. You've shown me that even the mightiest empire can fall to the simplest human weapons. A joke, a song. He kissed Miguel's forehead. A kiss. Down below, the sounds of laughter and music drifted upward as the first stars appeared in the twilight sky. Somewhere in the distance, an old Imperial broadcast tower began playing human music, a lively tune about joy and second chances. Kareth smiled, truly smiled, for perhaps the first time in his life. The galaxy would never be the same. And it was all because one unarmed human had kissed a weapon and turned it into something beautiful.